على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين سيدنا وسيد الأولين والآخرين بالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتخبين المنتجبين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. Amma ba'd, my respected brothers and sisters, my elders and learned scholars, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tonight is one of those nights where it holds a very special place in the hearts of the mu'mineen and the mu'minat, because it is the night of AbuFadhil Abbas alayhi afdal as-salatu was-salam. Sallu ala Muhammadin. And for us as a Shia, as a people, as a nation, we associate much to this noble personality, and we owe him much in regards to how we understand the level of our loyalty and dedication towards the message of Sayyid al-Shuhada Abi Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi afdal salatu was-salam. Sallu ala nabi. And one of those things which we really associate with AbuFadhil Abbas is the signs and the symbols of Ashura. For example, whenever there is a julus, whenever there is a matam, you will always see these banners. When someone asks us, what is this banner? We say it is the alam of Abbas alayhi salamullah. Recently, and very unfortunately, it would seem that amongst some of those elitists, those individuals who have considered themselves to be somewhat education savvy, academics, not all, but some, who came to the West and studied philosophies of personality X and Y, and someone who has no knowledge of who is Ahlul Bayt and who is Rasulullah and who is Imam Hussain and what is Karbala, gave them a piece of paper telling them that your opinion is valid. And they come to the Majlis and the Sha'air al-Husayniyah with this piece of paper, and they begin to criticize the signs and symbols of Ahlul Bayt, and they say, what is this alam? This is backwards, this is ignorance. What is this taboot that you have? This is ignorance. What is this, jula, or what is this dhul janah, this horse that you're bringing? This is all nonsense, this is khurafat, this is ignorance. We're in America, we are educated people, we don't need none of this. What they call nonsense, na'udhu billah. So tonight my speech is particularly aiming at such a mentality, to educate them from the mimbar of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam on where these things come from, and do they academically have a purpose, as well as within the sha'air of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Allah sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala First and foremost, we have to understand that when we give respect to these items, when we give respect to these objects, which ultimately in and of themselves, they are nothing but objects, the level of respect that we give to them is not based on the materials which they are made from, but rather it is on the signs and the significance and the symbols associated with these sha'air of Allah. Let's see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to say about the following things. What does Allah have to say about signs and symbols? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرُ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And who is it, or rather where are those people who strive to sanctify the signs of Allah? Tell them, surely that is the best way to make that which is in their heart manifest. I'll give you an example. A flower is a flower. A rose, a lily, whatever it is, it's a flower. It's insignificant really in the human society. Our way of life, we don't eat flowers. Neither do flowers produce fruits. Most of them are just aesthetically pleasing. But we associate signs and symbols. You tell your wife you love her, you tell your betrothed that you love them. On 14th of February every year, you're supposed to buy a flower. And if you don't buy a flower, she turns around and says, you don't love me. You say, but I love you. You say, well, I didn't get my flower. This action of yours, this symbolism of yours, is a way that manifests to me. Love is very arbitrary. It's not tangible. If you said to me, what is a phone? I can say, this is a phone. And no two people will disagree on that. It's tangible, it's physical. I can give it shape and form. But if you said to me, show me love, how can I show you love? It is shown through actions, through giving importance, through signs and symbols, through significance. Love is made manifest. If you said to someone, show me how much you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see, you can pray on your prayer mat day and night. That doesn't show me that you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As far as I'm concerned, you're probably just scared of Jahannam. As far as I'm concerned, you're probably just greedy for Jannah. That doesn't show me love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Kam min qari'in lil-Qur'an wal-Qur'ani yal'anuhu. How many people recite the Qur'an, but the Qur'an sends la'na on them? Just because you have a beautiful voice of tilawat al-Qur'an, it doesn't mean that you are, showing your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some people read the Qur'an because they love their own voice. Such individuals, the Qur'an sends la'na on them. Some people read the Qur'an and the Qur'an from cover to cover says, Aliyun waliyullah, follow Ali, follow Ali, follow Ali. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Innama waliyukum Allah wa rasulah. والذين آمنوا والذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون. Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. And yet this person turns around and says, no, I don't follow Ali, I follow somebody else. So Imam says, you're reciting the Qur'an, but the Qur'an sends la'na on you because you don't follow it. Reciting the Qur'an is not necessarily a sign of manifesting my iman on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's lip service. So love and mawadda and all these things are very arbitrary. They're not tangible. They're not physical. So therefore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرُ اللَّهِ. The one who looks for the symbols of Allah, the signs of Allah, and magnifies them and gives them their due respect, that is indeed the revelation of what you conceal in your heart. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul, say ya Rasulullah, if you love Allah, follow me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you love me? Don't pray. I'm not saying just about salah. You love me? The test of your love for me is your obedience to Rasulullah. In tahibbullah, if you love Allah, in is conditional if. If you truly love Allah, follow Rasulullah. You want to come to me and say Fulan and Fulan is the companion of Rasulullah, yet they are the ones who said he was delirious. Where is the love? Where is the obedience when Rasulullah said, bring me pen and paper so I can write for you that which if you follow you will never go astray. إِنِّي تَارِكٌ فِيكُمُ الثَّقَلَيْنِ كِتَابُ اللَّهُ وَعِتْرَتِي أَهْلُ بَيْتِي مَا إِن تَمَسَّكْتُمَا بِهُمَا لَن تَضُلَّ أَبَدًا. I am leaving amongst you two heavy weighty things, the book of Allah. Quran is not enough. وَأَهْلُ بَيْتِي, and my Ahlul Bayt. Hold on to them, you'll never go astray after me. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts forward this idea, if you really, really say you love me, and if you really believe in me, I have some signs, I have sha'air. So magnify them and honor them and give them the due respect and diligence and prestige. And when you do so, I can turn around and say, this person loves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hajj is wajib upon us, yes? Hajj is from the wajibat which if you can afford, you can go to and you must go to. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say Hajj is from sha'airullah. Inna safa wal marwa min sha'airullah. Allah said Safa and Marwa are from my signs. If you magnify them, you love me. But going tawaf is not mentioned as sha'airullah. Why? Because there is a story in Safa and Marwa. When you go around the Kaaba 7 times, you're probably doing it for your hajat and so on and so forth, yes? You want to be forgiven for your sins, yes? But when you're running between Safa and Marwa, you are following the actions of a lady who was left by her husband, Ibrahim alayhi salamullah. Hajar had no water, and her son came to a state of thirst that would almost kill him, Ismail alayhi salam. So she ran between 2 mountains 7 times, up and down. At one moment she sees a mirage on the other side, so she has hope. So she runs towards the hope, but every time she runs near the mirage, it moves further. Then when she gets to a certain distance, she says, I've left my son behind, maybe the wild animals will kill him. So she has fear, so she runs back towards that which she is trying to protect. Then she sees the son still wants water, she runs back towards the mirage, and 7 times she's going back and forth. She was running between hope in Allah and fear from being away from Allah's protection. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you love me? Be in that state of one who runs between hope and fear. Between Safa and Marwa, be that person who spends their life between hope and fear. You're always running towards my hope. Even if it's a mirage and you know it's a mirage, you have taqwa in me. You have tawakkul on me. You're hoping from me. And when you go far away, that you've gone far away from me, you run back to me fearful, saying, I am fearful of being away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made that sha'air of Allah an incumbent part of Hajj. Without it, your Hajj is not necessarily complete. Sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. When we look to Karbala, we look to the life of AbuFadhil Abbas alayhi salamullah, and with all due respect to Ibrahim and Ismail and Hajar, in my humble opinion, they are all ghulams of Abbas alayhi salamullah. AbuFadhil Abbas alayhi salam, when Imam Sajjad was asked, oh Imam, what is the martaba of your uncle Abbas? Imam Sajjad stood up, an Imam of the time, stood up, put his hand on his head and bowed and sat down, and nobody understood. They said, Imam, maybe he's going to tell us something. They said, what is the status of your uncle Abbas? Again he stood up, placed his hand on his head and he bowed his head. That's something we do when the name of the Imam of the time is mentioned. 3 times Imam Sajjad stood up, and the people still didn't understand. They said, may we be ransom for you. We're not understanding what you're saying. We're not understanding why an Imam Ma'soom is standing in honor of the name of AbuFadhil Abbas alayhi salamullah. So the Imam said to them, Li'ammi al-Abbas, for my uncle Abbas, there is a position with Allah that every shaheed and every prophet will be envious of on the day of Qiyamah. Everyone will desire to have the status of AbuFadhil Abbas alayhi salamullah. How did AbuFadhil achieve this status? He achieved this status through many different stages of his life. We will look at them from before birth to after birth with the salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. When Sayyidatu Nisa al-Alameen passed from this world, she left a will for Imam Ali alayhi salamullah. And many of the brothers came up to me yesterday and the day before saying, you know, you've totally destroyed our lives with all the rights of a woman. Where do our rights stay in this? So maybe this will provide you some comfort. Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen, at her time of passing away, she said, O Amir al-Mu'mineen, I know that you love me dearly and I know that you do not desire marriage after me, but I want you to marry because I heard Rasulullah say that a man is never complete without a woman by his side. O Ali, just do me one favor. When you choose a wife after me, choose the daughter of Asad. Choose the daughter of, choose al-Banin alayhi salamullah from the tribe of Kulayb, and ensure that your children from her will give madad to my children from you. Amir al-Mu'mineen, and this is to my brothers, specifically to my brothers, is giving us a lesson on spouse selection. In this day and age where we follow what the media and the mainstream society tells us, that your wife must look or act a certain way, listen to what Imam Ali alayhi salamullah has to say about when it comes to choosing a wife. First of all, Ali ibn Abi Talib is the Imam and the Amir of the Mu'mineen. He doesn't need to ask anyone about the world. He knows the world inside out. But the reason why he asked his brother Aqil is so that the people can understand the thought process that went behind it. Sometimes, as you recall the incident where Imam Hassan and Hussain saw an elderly man doing wudu wrong, they didn't go up to him and say, "Oh look, bichara, so old, munafiq." The way we do these days, when someone does one thing wrong, we call him, we bring out his ancestors from the grave, and we make mockery of the whole lineage. No, Imam Hassan Hussain alayhi salamullah went to this elderly man. They said, "Uncle, you are old, you are wise. We're still young, and we are in disagreement about who is doing wudu right or wrong. Maybe you can show us. Watch how we do wudu and tell us who is right and wrong." And he saw that they were both doing wudu right, exactly the same, no difference. He said, "The sons of Rasulullah do not need me to teach them wudu. I learn from you." But sometimes Ahlul Bayt have these kind of dialogues, these conversations, in order that the one who is listening may be educated. So Imam Ali goes to his brother Aqil and listen to the criteria of your spouse selection. He says, "Ya Aqil, find me a woman whom the lions of war from amongst the Arab gave birth to." Why, O Aqil? So that she can give me a warrior in Karbala who will stand as a mediator and a supporter for my son Hussein. When I go and choose a wife in this day and age, my sole intention should be that this is the woman who is best qualified to give me children who will never abandon the Imam of my time. My intention should be that this is a woman who's going to give birth to Abbas in my house. So Imam alayhi salamullah goes, and even before the marriage, Abbas is being prepared for the day that will come in Karbala, in that spouse selection. So his brother says to him, Aqil says to Amir al-Mu'mineen, Aqil was known as a Nasaba. Nasaba means a person who knows the lineage of the people. In fact, Aqil was so good at knowing the lineage of people, he needed only to look at an individual and he will tell from which tribe he came from, simply based on your features. So for example, if your eyes were a certain color and your skin was a certain color, he will say these are the features of that tribe, and he will get it right. Matter of fact, he was so well versed in it that when he was summoned to the court of Muawiyah la'natullah alayh, Muawiyah said to him, "O Aqil, tell me about my companions. What lineage do they come from?" He said, "Really, I don't think you should be asking me such a question in an open gathering." He said, "Nay, tell me." He said, "Okay, who do you want me to start with?" Umar ibn As jumps up first. The name says it all. He says, "I want to know my lineage." Aqil alayhi salam said, "And what a shameful way to start." He said, "As for you, 6 people put their names in a box and they pulled it out, and that one was your father." 6 people were gambling on who will be called the father. As for Ziyad ibn Abi la'natullah alayh, nobody knew who his father was, because his mother came from a very bad background, so to speak. In the politest of terms on the minbar, I can say this. He wrote a letter to Aisha, the wife of the Prophet. In Arab culture, when you write a letter to someone, and in Islamic culture, you say to so-and-so, the son of so-and-so. For example, so I write, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, from Hussain Al-Nashed, son of Atiyah, to Mahdi, son of Radawi, for example. So he wrote to Aisha, who at the time was leading that battle in Basra. He wanted to write to her that he will be a supporter. So he wrote to al-Mu'mineen, Aisha. Now she wants to respond to him. How can she respond to him? No one knows his dad. So she wrote, from the mother of the believers to her son. So he looks at her, he says, MashaAllah, she's a very clever woman. So these were the people that Aqil alayhi salamullah was being asked, tell us our lineage. As for Muawiyah, he said, tell me of my lineage. He said, I'm afraid if I tell you your lineage, it will cost me my life. So I'm best not saying that. This Aqil was so well versed in the lineage of people that when Amir al-Mu'mineen said, Ya Aqil, in your opinion, this is the kind of woman that I want. Which house do you think I should go to? He said, you go to no one but al-Baneen. Fatima bint Qazam. Go to her. For what you want, this is the family. A lesson for our children, you should involve your parents, because your parents know the society. They know stories about communities and families that happened before you was born. So when you want to marry and you choose a partner for yourself, ask yourself, first of all, what is my intention? What is my action plan here? What is my purpose? What do I hope to achieve from this marriage? I want Azadari sons. I want children who are known to be in the first saf of the maktam. Mom, Dad, which family do you think is best known for that? I think this family. Why? I've seen their father since he was a kid, always in the first line of the saf. Son, always in the first line of the saf. This is a girl who grew up in a house where her dad is a Azadar, her brother is a Azadar, her uncles are Azadars, her mother is a Azadar. So therefore she must only be an Azadar, and she can only give you an Azadar son or daughter. So when it comes to spouse selection, Amir al-Mu'mineen is giving us a profound lesson here. When he came to choose AbuFadhil Abbas, he said, find me someone who the lions of war gave birth to. Look at the wording of Imam. وَلَدَتْهَا الْفُحُولِ. Lions of war, brave men. Very scarce in this day and age. Very rare to come by. So what happens? He goes to the house of al-Baneen. Do you know why? Just two things about al-Baneen's father and grandfather. Her grandfather was known as La'abu Sinan. You know what that means? The one who used to toy and wrestle with lions. Whenever he was bored, he would go out into the wilderness and he would wrestle lions. The son, on the other hand, was known as the one who makes lions run when they see him. We run when we see lions. The father of AbuFadhil Abbas, when the lions saw him, they ran away because they remember what his dad done to their dad. This is not a normal person to mess around with. Obviously in those days there was no PlayStation. Right? You had to find something to amuse you. And if you're a warrior, you're not going to pick on someone who's weak. You're going to pick on someone who maybe will give you a good fight. They've got a fair chance of winning, so you go to the lion, the bravest of the kingdoms. He's known as La'abus Sinan. But more than that is the iman and the taqwa of al-Baneen and the house in which she was raised in. When Amir al-Mu'mineen went to propose to the mother of AbuFadhil, he sent Aqil with a proposition. Imagine any one of you, you get someone knocking at your door, they're saying, Ali ibn Abi Talib wants your daughter. What would you say? Over the moon. Amir al-Mu'mineen wants my daughter in marriage? What an honored blessing for me. But al-Baneen says, tell Ali, salamullahi wa salawatuhu alayhi, that I will marry him, but my dowry is one condition. Part of my dowry, he must translate the following dream to me that I keep having reoccurringly. I saw the moon split into four and fall in my lap with one piece of the moon outshining the others. Tell him I've been trying to figure this out. If he can tell me the meaning of this dream, I will marry him. So Amir al-Mu'mineen said, oh, tell al-Baneen that she will give me 4 sons. Her name was Fatima at the time, it wasn't called al-Baneen. Tell Fatima she will give me 4 sons, but one of them will be the moon of Bani Hashim. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala. When al-Baneen alayhi salamullah first entered the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen wanted to call her. So he called her, he said, oh Fatima, because her name was Fatima. He said, oh Fatima. Immediately she said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, in this house and in this religion, does a wife have the right to ask from her husband anything? He said, of course, you have all the right to ask. What is it that you want? She said, don't call me Fatima again. He said, why? That's your name. She said, when you say Fatima, I saw Imam Hassan and Hussain and Zainab and Kulthum, they began to cry. Because they remembered their mother Fatima Zahra. Ya Ali, I don't want to be known as the reason behind the sorrow of Hassan and Hussain and Zainab and Kulthum. He said to her, okay, choose another name for yourself. She said, there is no name more beloved to me than the name of Fatima. And I cannot think of a name better than that, so I cannot replace it. Instead, just call me the mother of your sons. And that's what al-Baneen means, the mother of your sons. Can you imagine your identity as an individual, your first identity you ever knew is your name, and you give up your identity so another woman's children will not be upset because of your identity? You see, when you can find a woman like that, don't let anything, make you think this or that about her. She has that mawadda for Ahlul Bayt. She has that love for Ahlul Bayt. She has that obedience for Ahlul Bayt. She has that preference of their comfort over her comfort. You choose that woman for yourself. And if you don't, by Allah, you have lost, and somebody else will gain treasures. So al-Baneen alayhi salamullah, when she came to the house, this was the reason why Abbas had such loyalty for Abi Abdullah. When a mother plays such a significant role in being selfless towards Ahlul Bayt, you can only be Abbas in that household. When she was pregnant with AbuFadhil Abbas in the final stages of her pregnancy, and for the sisters, you know this more than anybody else, how difficult it is to stand up in the final stages of your pregnancy. That's when you need the husband to take time off work to be at home helping you. Abi Abdullah al-Hussein walks into the house. As soon as he walks in, al-Baneen sees him. She begins to stand up, but as she's trying to stand up, bi Abi wa Ummi, she's looking for something to lean on, to give her support. Imam Hussein runs to al-Baneen. He puts his hand on her shoulders. He says, Mother, do not let me be the source of your discomfort. Stay seated. There's no need for formalities, no takalluf. Stay. She says, Aba Abdullah, don't talk to me. It's not me. It's the child in my womb. The moment my eyes see you, and the moment my ears hear your voice, he begins to move around within me until I am forced to stand up to honor you, O Aba Abdullah. The only other person in the history that we know who did such a thing was Amir al-Mu'mineen. When Fatima bint Asad, Rasulullah walked in, she would stand and he would say to her the same thing. Mother, do not let me be the source of your discomfort. She says, Ya Rasulullah, it is that child within me, Ali ibn Abi Talib. One more salawat as we stand and move forward to make space. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. The second in the honor of al-Baneen. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. The third with your loudest of voices in honor of Qamari Bani Hashim Abi Fadhil Abbas. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. So AbuFadhil alayhi salamullah from that very young age is conditioned, is full of love and obedience to Ahlul Bayt alayhim salamullah. And then comes the stage of afterbirth. We looked at before marriage the preparation for AbuFadhil. During the time of pregnancy, the stage of AbuFadhil. Let us look at afterbirth, the stage in the life of AbuFadhil. AbuFadhil Abbas, his mother taught him, O Abbas, Hassan and Hussein are the sons of Sayyidatu Nisa'il Alameen, and you are the son of an ordinary woman. I say, no, Baneen, you are not an ordinary woman, you are an extraordinary woman. The woman who Zahra calls her sister of Karbala is not an ordinary. The woman who Fatima Zahra on Yawm al-Qiyamah, when she complains, the first complaint to Allah is the hands of Abbas, is not an ordinary woman. She says, AbuFadhil, you are the son of an ordinary woman. These are the sons of Sayyidatun Nisa al-Alameen. Never, ever in your life call them my brothers, call them my masters. Abbas, when you sit in the presence of Imam Hussain, sit as if you are in Salah. When you sit in Salah and you're reading your tashahhud and your head is bowed down and your hands are on your lap and you are silent, sit in that manner when you sit in front of Imam Hussain. For by Allah, I heard Rasulullah say, the one who looks at the Ahlul Bayt is a form of worship, and the one who sits in the company of an Imam is as if they are sitting next to the Arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Abbas, never ever forget these things. So he grew up, salamullahi wa salawatuhu alayhi. Never once did he call Imam Hussain brother. Always called him Sayyidi wa Mawlai, my Lord and my Master. Hajar alayhi salam ran for a matter of moments 7 times between Safa and Marwa. And it is enough that Allah tells us to replicate her movements for eternity so that we can take lessons. But AbuFadhil Abbas spent from the cradle to Yawm Ashura running back and forth in the service of Abdullah al-Hussein. Yet some uneducated individual comes and says, when you carry a alam of Abbas, that is a sign of blasphemy. I say, you are blasphemous. Allah commands us to replicate the movements of Hajar, but a alam of Abbas or a taboot for the Ahlul Bayt is somehow now backwards. You see, let me give you the best example on how we should approach this subject of honoring Ahlul Bayt with the sha'air, with the alams, with the jula, with the taboot, with the dhul janah, with the wearing black, with the matam on our chest, with the tears in our eyes, with our cries, Ya Hussein. How would you people feel right now at this moment if behind me I put up a flag of Israel? How would you feel? If the board here today said, we're going to put on the mimbar of Imam Hussain a flag of Israel, how would you feel? It's nothing. It's a cloth with 2 blue stripes and a white stripe and a diamond star in the middle. Why should you be offended by that? You would be offended, yes? Hands up, how many of you would you be offended? Right. Why are you offended? It's a cloth, it's nothing. But you see, signs and symbols, especially vision symbols, they compound different meanings that we have associated with something. When I look at the flag, I am reminded of an apartheid state. When I look at the flag, I am reminded by the oppression of the people of Palestine. When I look at that flag, it makes me angry because I know every day there are innocent people being killed by a government that represents this flag, and the flag represents them. When I want to remember AbuFadhil Abbas, sometimes I don't have the luxury of time to sit and read his entire life, but I look to a alam, and as long as the alam is standing there, I remember his wafa to Abdullah al-Hussein. I remember his obedience to Abdullah al-Hussein. I remember his sacrifice for Abdullah al-Hussein. I remember his determination to be at the side of Imam Hussain. I remember his loyalty and his bravery for Abdullah al-Hussein. I remember a man who stood by the river Euphrates but refused to drink water which was readily in his hand because his love for Imam Hussain alayhi salamullah. And someone comes up to me and says, get rid of that flag. I swear by AbuFadhil Abbas, and I have been privy to such documents, that this is nothing but a systematic movement financed by Zionists. And I don't mean Zionists as in just the state of Israel. I mean anyone who opposes The school of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salamullah, they want our children to forget who is Hussein and what he stood for. And you cannot make us forget unless you make us forget Abbas. Because we grew up, and I speak for everyone in attendance, the closest personality in all of Karbala to our hearts was always Abbas. Tell me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it Abbas who always inspired those tears? Wasn't it his wafa, his loyalty, his compassion, his undying love for Hussein that taught us what it means to stand in the saf and do matam? Wasn't it Abbas who taught us what it means to say labbaika ya Hussein? Was it not Abbas who taught us what it means to say ya Hussein, I am at your service? Because Abbas lived an entire lifetime in the service of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. If Hussein makes us understand the greatness of Allah, Abbas makes us understand the greatness of Hussein. And until they can make us forget AbuFadhil alayhi salamullah, we will never forget Hussein. But when we forget Abbas, we will forget Hussein. And I'll tell you why. Because Rasulullah said, I am the kingdom of knowledge and Ali is the door. When people forgot the door, they forgot who is Rasulullah. Yes, they know him by name, but they don't know him by person or personality. My Muhammad and your Muhammad are not the same Muhammads. My Muhammad has never committed a sin. Your Muhammad, you say in your books, he committed sins. My Muhammad never forgot the Quran. Your Bukhari says Muhammad forgot the Quran. My Muhammad says he was the best of characters. Your Muhammad is depicted to be a womanizer, na'udhu billah. My Muhammad was compassionate and peaceful and kind and caring and something to be desired by every community and every society. Your Muhammad was a butcher who went around calling for the blood of Christians and Jews. My Muhammad and your Muhammad are the difference between the Jesus of the Christians and the Jesus of the Quran al-Kareem. Their names may be the same, but they are worlds apart in personalities. You tell me that's your Muhammad, you didn't take him from Ali, and when you forget Ali, you make up whatever you want to do about Rasulullah. When you forget the door of Hussein, Hussein is also a kingdom, Safinatun Najah, Wabab al-Rahmah. When you forget that kingdom has a door, the door is Abbas. If you remove Abbas from the equation, people will start to change Imam Hussein and paint him in whichever way, shape or form that they want. For that reason, Allah gave Abbas that great status, not just because he died in Karbala. 72 died in Karbala. Why is Abbas distinguished from amongst the 72? Because Abbas, his entire life is full of lessons that surpass any other lesson on how to be loyal towards Abi Abdullah Hussain alayhi salamullah. My young brothers, I speak to you first and foremost, my sisters specifically, and I want to speak to the sisters first. As long as your hijab is on your head, nobody can ever say the alam of Abbas has fallen. The alam of Abbas is your hijab. And if you throw that hijab away, you threw the alam of Abbas beneath your feet. And to my brothers, do not ever come and make mockery of Matam and say, I don't understand the language. I'm not from the Urdu world, I'm Iraqi. I've been, you tell me, from Chakwal Party, I know them. You tell me from Tasadduq Khan, I know him. You tell me Sibta Jafar, I know him. This is the Urdu world, yes? You tell me about Mahmoud Karimi from the Farisi world, I know him. You tell me about Hilali, I know him. You tell me about Sabsaruki, I know him. You tell me about all these people, I know them. Why? Because I know them? Because I like them? No. Because they say from a microphone the name of Hussein, and Hussein transpires all boundaries of language and culture. Do not ever ridicule another person's sorrowful mourning for Hussein just because it's different to the way that you know how to mourn Imam Hussein. 72 people in Karbala, no two died the same death. Qasim and Akbar were different. Aoun and Muhammad different. Zuhair ibn Qayn and Habib ibn Mudahir different, but every one of them said Hussein in their own way, and every one of them is from the 72 of AbuFadhil. Do not make mockery of another person's matam, for it is not mocking their matam, it is mocking the sha'air of Allah. It is mocking the azadar of AbuFadhil Abbas. If AbuFadhil had his hands, rest assured he would be the first in the saf of every matam. Your hands are the hands of Abbas in every gathering where there is Shia. Never walk away from matam of Imam Hussein. Nothing that is waiting for you outside the Imam Barga is more important than the saf of matam for Hussein. And this is something that it is a responsibility upon you to educate yourself and to learn it yourself, so that when it comes to your children, you can also pass it on to them. Because 14 generations, our ancestors, have passed on this matam of Imam Hussein to us. Some of our parents were persecuted, some of them were killed, some of them went from riches to poverty, but they said, Labbaik ya Hussein is far better than a comfortable life, just so that we can have azadar of Imam Hussein. Do not let the comforts of the world fool you, because you have an amana. One day you will stand before Fatima al-Zahra. Before her you will stand before AbuFadhil Abbas. He will say, I entrusted my alam in your hand. Give me one good reason why you left it. Because on that day 35,000 people had no good reason to leave Hussein. Today they are burning in the pits of Jahannam. Abbas never once let the alam go from his hand, and he is flying above every Nabi of Allah, with the exception of Khatam al-Nabiyeen, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sha'air Allah, or rather Sha'air al-Hussein, are Sha'air Allah. Imam Jafar said the best of the signs of Allah is Hussein, because there is no story of any prophet, no story of any Imam that is as encompassing as Imam Hussein's story. I'll give you an example. To understand Ali ibn Abi Talib completely, you need to be one of three things. Either you need to be a mu'min, because he's Amir al-Mu'mineen, and you understand him through his Iman. Either you need to be a man or a woman of politics and respect the politics of Ali ibn Abi Talib on how he took Islam through those turmoil times and still preserved it. Or you must be a scholar who finds wisdom in the words of Ali. So it needs to be one of three people to understand Ali truly. To understand Imam Hassan, you either must be a person who has patience to understand the sabr of Imam Hassan. There are many people who come and say, why did Imam Hassan not just give in the first time? You need to understand sabr. And another group will say, well, why did Imam Hassan sign a peace treaty? You need to understand sabr to understand Imam Hassan. But Imam Hussein, if you're a 6-month-old infant, there is a lesson for you in Karbala. If you're a 12-year-old boy, there is Al-Qasim ibn al-Hassan to teach you. If you're 21 to 29, you have Akbar and you have Sajjad. If you're a girl at the age of 3, you have Sukaina. If you are a mother, you have Layla and Farwa. If you are a sister, you have Zainab and Kulthum. If you are a brother, you have AbuFadhil Abbas and Imam Hussein. If you are a father, you have Ali al-Akbar and Al-Qasim. If you're an uncle, every single lesson is found in Karbala. You want to understand the laws of the land. Abi Abdullah comes to Karbala. He buys Karbala first and then says, now bury me here, because the land has a right. There is no qasbi. Everything has a right. Imam Hussein comes to the river Euphrates. He tells his horse, I am thirsty and you are thirsty, but I will not drink until you drink. Animal rights in Karbala. The rights of how you speak with your enemy, Karbala. Every lesson in life, Karbala. And for that reason why we say كل يوم عاشوراء وكل أرض كربلاء. No matter which land I travel to, I can take Karbala with me, and I can take lessons from Karbala on how I should live in that land. Every day that comes by, there are lessons to be taken from Karbala. And we will lose this school of thought, this powerhouse of knowledge, this rich culture with all that it has to give without asking us to give anything back. It is given to us freely. When we give up on the sha'air of Imam Hussain, then we lose it. Imam Hussain becomes just a ritual for us. Just a ritual. How many mother comes to the alam of AbuFadhil Abbas and ties her mannat because she has hope, not in that cloth, but she has hope in Bab al-Hawa'ij, that he will not turn her away. AbuFadhil Abbas has always been Bab al-Hawa'ij. Don't think he became Bab al-Hawa'ij after he passed away, no. He was always the door of needy people. Whenever someone needed, they always came to AbuFadhil Abbas, and no difference in Karbala. When the children needed water, they came to Bab al-Hawa'ij. Think about this for a moment. Imam Hussain is there, but they came to Bab al-Hawa'ij. Let us dim out the lights as we turn our hearts and minds to Karbala. Mahdi Bhai, if you can just put the echo up slightly to save the voice, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa alihi. On the night of Ashura, or rather on the 9th day, the army of Yazid La'natullah alayhi began to march towards Imam Hussain. At that moment, all the children, the narration says, imagine 35,000 people running towards Imam Hussain. The whole land of Karbala was shaking like an earthquake. There was a tremor beneath the feet. So the children ran. Who did they run to? They ran to Abbas. Imam Hussain said, Abbas, go and tell them to give us one more day. When Abbas goes and Shimr La'natullah alayhi returns to Umar bin Sa'd, he says, let's give them one more day. Umar bin Sa'd says, why should we wait? We can kill them and be done with it. Shimr La'natullah says, may your mother mourn you. Hussain has one lion. If he gives him ijazah to fight, he will wipe out this 35,000 like Ali ibn Abi Talib would wipe them out. He said, who is he? He said, he is Abbas. On the night of Ashura, Imam Hussain, after giving his final speech, said to all the women to bid farewell to the men in their lives, because after tomorrow, there is no more time to speak. Layla and Ali Akbar. Imagine you are in Karbala now, huh? What's the scene that you're seeing? The mother of Qasim and her sons, the Ansar and their wives, and everyone is saying, my wife, my sister, my daughter, be patient after I go, huh? They're going to take you to Sham after we leave. Be patient. Sabrun Jameel ya al Rasulillah. AbuFadhil Abbas alayhi salam was on his horse. Imam Hussain said, Abbas, stay on your horse and keep going around the khayma, so when the people see you, they feel safe. Abbas is going around the khayma of Imam Hussain. All of a sudden he heard a child crying. When Abbas alayhi salam came closer to the mukhayyam, he saw it was the mukhayyam where Ali Asghar and Sukayna were. When he came to the khayma, he saw Bibi Sakina crying, Sukayna bint al-Hussain. Abbas came to her. Imagine you have a 3-year-old child and they're crying. What do? He picked her up, bi abi wa ummi. He picked her up and she saw the moon of Bani Hashim, that beautiful face of Abbas. When she saw his smile, her tears went away. Abbas alayhi salam said, Sakina, what's wrong, my darling? What's wrong, oh the beloved of your uncle? Why are you crying, Sakina? Sakina, what's making you cry? She said, Uncle Abbas, I was sitting with my mother just a moment ago, and she had Ali al-Asghar in the Jula, and my father Hussein came in and he looked at my mother and he said, why have you not bid him farewell just yet? My mother said, but Abu Abdullah, he's 6 months old. She said to her, that will be your sacrifice in Karbala. He said, so why is that making you cry, Sukaina? He's going to be in Jannah. She said, Uncle Abbas, I'm crying because Ali Akbar, he's been given by Layla, Qasim by Farwa. My mother is giving Ali al-Asghar, but I have no one to give for my father Hussein. Who will I offer tomorrow? Abbas wiped away her tears. He says, Sakina, I will be your sacrifice in Karbala. Sakina didn't know whether to smile or whether to cry. On one hand, she wants to cry because she just heard Abbas will die tomorrow. On the other hand, she wants to smile because she's giving the best of sacrifices. Yawm Ashura came. Abu Abdullah is all alone. Nobody is by his side except for AbuFadhil Abbas. Look at Bab al-Hawaij, huh? The children, their lips were being cut by the thirst. They came to Sukaina alayhi salam. They said, Sakina, will you not ask Uncle Abbas to bring us some water? He will never refuse you a wish. She went to Uncle Abbas holding Ali al-Asghar in her hands. She said, Uncle Abbas, the children came asking for water, and I know you are too generous to say no. Will you not bring them the water? AbuFadhil went to Imam Hussein. He said, Abu Abdullah, if you do not let me fight, at least let me bring the water for the children. Ajrukum ala Allah. He took the mishk from Imam Hussein. He took the water skin. They say Imam Hussein and Bibi Sakina were standing outside the khayma watching the alam of Abbas. Now you can imagine, Imam Hussein is very tall. He can see Abbas, but Bibi Sakina can't see Abbas because she's very small. She's a very small child. Where were her eyes looking? Her eyes were looking to the alam of Abbas. All of a sudden she sees the alam go down. She looked at Imam Hussein. She said, Baba Hussein, where is the alam of my uncle Abbas? Imam Hussein said, don't worry, Sakina. Abbas just got to the river. He's put the alam down so he can bring you the water. All of a sudden Sakina sees the alam of Abbas rising again. This time it's rushing back towards the khayma. She ran inside, she called all the children, she said, come together. Here is the alam of Abbas returning. Here is my uncle bringing us the water. Ajrukum ala Allah. One line came from behind and cut off his hand. Another came and cut off his left. A third hit him with a pole, an arrow in his eye. Ajrukum ala Allah. When a person falls, they will do what? They put their hands out to break the fall. Abbas fell from the top of the horse, body covered in arrows but no hands. He fell face first. Ajrukum ala Allah. He cried out, Assalamu alayka ya Sayyidi wa Mawlai. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein rushed towards Abbas. They say in 2 instances he fell to the floor. When he fell to the floor, he cried out, Ya Ali adrikni. What were the 2 occasions? On the first one, he found the right hand of Abbas. On the second one, he saw the left hand of Abbas. When he came to AbuFadhil, ajrukum ala Allah, AbuFadhil has an arrow in his right eye, blood covering his left eye. All he heard were footsteps approaching. All of a sudden, someone took the head of Abbas, put it in his lap. Abbas thought it was one of the enemies coming to cut his head off like they had done with Akbar and Qasim. So he said to him, I ask you, by whatever God you worship, do not cut off my head. Give me just some time so I can bid farewell to my Imam. Ajrukum ala Allah. At that moment the man began to cry. He said, Abbas, I am Hussein. Abbas lifted his head, he put it on the floor. Imam Hussein put the head of Abbas in his lap. Abbas put his head on the floor. A third time, Imam Hussein said, Abbas, have I done anything to hurt your feelings that you don't want now, in less than an hour, you will have your head in his lap, Ya ibn Zahra. Imam Hussain wanted to carry AbuFadhil back. Abbas said, no, AbuFadhil, leave me where I am. I only have never asked for anything in my life. I want just this one thing from you. He said, Abbas, why? He said, Abbas is too ashamed to go back to Sakina without the water. Imam Hussain said, I will give this thing for you, but in return, Abbas, I want to ask you for something. He said, what do you want to ask my master? He said, Abbas, never once have you called me brother. I want to hear it come out from your lips just one time. At that moment, how beautiful the words, how sad and tragic the occasion. Abbas says, Assalamu alayka ya akhi ya AbuFadhil. And Abbas took his final breath. Imam Hussain returned to Zainab. She says, Ya Hussain, I see that you've returned without Abbas. How does Imam Hussain tell Zainab Abbas is gone? He's got no energy left in him. He's got no voice left in him. He walked to the khaymah of Abbas. He removed the pillar. The khaymah of Abbas fell. He said, Zainab, I was this khaymah and Abbas was the pillar. And now Abbas is no more. And now Abbas is no more. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون. إلهي وسيدي ومولاي, we ask you by Bab al-Hawaj, AbuFadhil Abbas alayhi salam, do not let the sacrifice of Abbas be wasted on us. Let us be a community where in every house we have a Azadar of Imam Hussain, we have a Alamdar of Imam Hussain, we have a Abbas of Imam Mahdi. Our Imam is very lonely because he doesn't have a Abbas. And we should aspire to raise our children. Ilahi, raise from every house a Abbas for Imam al-Zaman, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen. Let us remember our marhumeen and your marhumeen, and especially the marhum Majlis.